Namaskar. I'm Dr. Nalini Avinash Wagmare, working as Associate Professor at Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith, Pune. Today's our topic is British confrontation with the native states, especially related to Mysore and other states of India. The rise of Mysore in the 18th century was viewed with great alarm by the British. Taking advantage of the mutual decisions and enmity among the native states, the British formed alliances with the Marathas and the Nizam against Mysore. Four battles took place between the British and the rulers of Mysore, which resulted in the death of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, with Mysore becoming virtually a dependency of the British. Then the British faced a serious challenge from the Marathas with regard to their expansionist agenda. In the three wars fought with the Marathas, the British finally emerged as the unparalleled power in India. The success of the British in Anglo-Maratha war was brought the whole country, ruled by the Indian princes, under their control, extending their frontiers to central India and the Deccan. Then the annexation of Punjab, the most fertile region of the subcontinent, enhanced the status of the British Empire. The first Anglo-Sikh War was fought in the time of Lord Hardinge, and the second was fought during the period of Lord Dalhousie. Although the Sikhs were defeated in the second war, their power was not crushed. They were determined to take revenge for their previous defeat. Munraj, the governor of Multan, revolted and put to death the English officers who were sent there. The important battles of the Second Anglo-Sikh War were those of Chilanjanwala and Gujarat. The Sikhs were defeated and the whole of the Punjab was annexed in March 1849. Then the British and Indian state. When we know that in 1600 British East India Company established, there were so many reasons to start the East India companies, and step by step Britishers taken the whole power in their hands politically. Then later on, British easily expand their territories in India by introducing various rules and regulations and policies. Then the other reasons is that ambitious in scope and geographical breadth, the British Empire in India was the embodiment of foreign political imperialism. Many princely states surrounded Britain's colonial possessions in the heart of Indian subcontinent. As a result of their expansionist policies, the British often fell into confrontation with these Indian states, leading to several wars, among with the conflict with Mysore, Awadh, and Marathas, and the six wars are significant. To further consolidate their position, the British also felt the need to subdue and keep in check Burma and Central Asia. So here in this lecture only related to India, the other are dropped. Then let's see one by one the Anglo-Mysore Wars. The state of Mysore had risen to political prominence in southern India under the leadership of Hyder Ali in 1761. The wars of succession in Karnataka and Hyderabad, the conflict between the English and the French in the southern provinces, and the defeat of the Marathas in the Third Battle of Panipat had all helped Hyder Ali in consolidating the kingdom of Mysore. After coming to power, Hyder Ali had to face numerous conflicts with the Marathas and the English. Then the Second Anglo-Mysore Wars. On one such occasion in 1764, the Maratha Peshwa Madhav Rao defeated Hyder Ali, and a treaty was signed in 1765, according to which Hyder Ali had to surrender a part of his territory to the Marathas, besides paying an annual tribute to 28 lakh rupees paid to him. As for the British, there were four major conflicts between them and the state of Mysore, which led to the winning of the kingdom. Then what were the Third Anglo-Maratha War? Third Anglo-Mysore War. Broke out by the Nizam of Hyderabad, the British decided to subdue Hyder Ali, resulting in the First Anglo-Mysore War. While Hyder Ali desired to raid Karnataka and finally India of the British, the latter always felt threatened by Hyder Ali's dynamic presence. To keep a check on his mercurial growth, a three-party alliance was formed against Hyder Ali by the British, the Nizam, and the Marathas. but Hyder Ali succeeded in breaking the alliances and declaring war on the British. The war ended with the defeat of the British and the signing of the Treaty of Madras in 1769, which called for a mutual restoration of each other's territories and the formation of a defensive alliances between the two parties, committing the British to come to the aid of the state of Mysore in case of external attacks. The signatories to the treaty included Hyder Ali, the Company, the Raja of Tanjore, and the ruler of Malabar. Then the Second Anglo-Mysore War. The Treaty of Madras was more of a truce between the Mysore and the British, which gave Hyder Ali the opportunity to accuse the company of not observing the terms of the treaty when they refused to help him against a Maratha attack in 1771. In contrast, Hyder Ali found the French more helpful than the British. 1778, when the British seized the French settlements, including Mahon, a port which was very crucial to Mysore for the entry of the supplies into the kingdom, Hyder Ali entered into a coalition with the Nizam and the Marathas against British. Then ensuing war came to be known as the Second Anglo-Mysore War. But his untimely death in 1782 thrust the responsibility continuing the uh, era upon his son Tipu Sultan. Spelling is mistake. With success eluding both sides, the Treaty of Mangalore decided that the British would restore Srirangapattam to Tipu, while Tipu would hand over the port of Bagnur to the British. The two parties also agreed not to assist each other's rivals directly or indirectly, not fight each other's allies. The trade privileges granted to the company by Hyder Ali in 1770 were restored too, and Tipu also agreed to release all prisoners of war. By mistake here mentioned first, actually Second Anglo-Mysore War. Then Third Anglo-Mysore War. The third confrontation between Tipu Sultan and the British continued for 3 years, ending in Tipu's death in 1792. Even though Tipu fought bravely, Lord Cornwallis diplomatically isolated him by winning over the Marathas, the Nizam, as well as the rulers of Tiruvananthapuram and Kuru. It was yet again proved that Indian states, which trusted Europeans for the sake of temporary gains, were ultimately defeated. The Third Anglo-Mysore War came to an end with the Treaty of Srirangapatnam in 1792, signed between Tipu and the British in the presence of their allies, the Nizam and the Peshwa. Nearly half of the territory of Mysore was handed over to the British, including the Baramahal, Dindigal, Malabara, while the Marathas acquired the territory along the Tungabhadra and the Nizam acquired the territories between Krishna and Penna. In addition, Tipu also had to pay a war indemnity of over 3 crore rupees. Two of his sons were to be denied as British hostages until the terms of the treaty were fulfilled. Then the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. After his defeat in the Third Anglo-Mysore War, Tipu Sultan wanted to settle scores with the British, went on to negotiate with the French and German Shah of Kabul to help him regain his lost territory as well as to expel the British. After entering into a subsidiary alliance with the Nizam, Lord Wellesley expected Tipu to do the same, but upon his refusal, the British attacked Mysore in 1799. The British Army under General Harry, supported by the Nizam subsidiary air force under Arthur Wellesley, attacked Mysore from the east, while yet another British army advancing from the Mumbai on the west. Tipu's forces were initially defeated by the British Army, advancing from the Mumbai side, and later by General Harry's Alaval. Thus, Tipu Sultan died fighting bravely at Srirangapatnam, after which an incumbent from the earlier royal family of Mysore was installed on the throne, and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. With this, Mysore lost all its former glory. So here the Mysore agreed the subsidiary alliances system with the Britishers. Then let's check the Anglo-Maratha Wars. The British were in the phase of consolidating their claim over South Asia. The process initiated with the Battle of Plassey and the Boxer and carried forward with the Anglo-Mysore Wars, saw the further consolidation with the Anglo-Marathas wars, which were fought between the British and the Marathas. Then First Anglo-Maratha War. The internal problems of the Marathas and the growing ambitions of the British was the initial cause of the power struggle between the two. The situation worsened when the British began to interfere in the internal affairs of the Marathas as Mumbai. After the death of Peshwa Madhav Rao, 1772, he was succeeded by his younger brother Narendra. But his uncle, Raghuba, who aspired to become the next Peshwa, had him murdered. This event unified the Maratha chiefs to take up the cause of Madhav Rao, Narendra, the son of Narendra. While Raghuba approached the British for help and signed the Treaty of Surat, hoping to gain the throne with the help of the British subsidiary troops. The treaty also signed that he salutary and basing to the British and refrained from making any alliance with the company's rivals. In the ensuing war, nobody gained anything. Finally, the Treaty of Salabai was concluded in 1782, according to which status quo was maintained. This gave the British 20 years of peaceful relation with the Marathas, besides enabling the British to exert pressure on Mysore with the help of the Marathas in recovering their territories from Hyder Ali. Then Second Anglo-Maratha War. The Second Anglo-Maratha War was fought when Lord Wellesley wanted the Marathas to accept his subsidiary alliance system. When Bajirao II was defeated by Yashwantrao Holkar, the ruler of Indore, at the Battle of Pune in October 1802, he looked to the British for support, and in December he concluded the Treaty of Wesson with them. Accordingly, a subsidiary force was to be maintained by the Maratha capital in return for some territory, and the Peshwa was also to promise not to enter into a treaty with any other power. At this time, the British also had to check the French influence in India. None of the Maratha chiefs liked this arrangement, and soon the Scindia, Bhosle, and Holkars together put up resistance against the British. The Scindias and Bhosles were defeated in different battles by the British, while Yashwantrao Holkar proved more than a match for them. Wellesley was eventually recalled from India, and the company made peace with the Holkar in January 1806 through the Treaty of Rajghat, returning many of his territories to him. Then, Third Anglo-Maratha War. The Marathas made desperate last attempt to regain their independence and prestige in 1870. A united front of the Maratha chiefs under the Peshwa was organized to oust the British resident who was exercising rigid control. While the Peshwa attacked the British residency at Pune in 1817, Appa Sahib of Nagpur attacked the residency at Nagpur, and Madhav Rao Holkar helped them in their attempts. The British defeated the Maratha forces, and many territories were taken away from its various members. This was accompanied by Lord Hastings in 1880, making the British the supreme and permanent authority in India. Then these three were given the Britishers more power in their hands, and Marathas lost their territories. Then let's check the Anglo-Sikh Wars. The two Anglo-Sikh Wars were fought on separate occasion between the Sikh and the British in 1845 to 43. They marked the fulfillment of British imperialist ambition of extending the British Empire up to the natural boundary of India to the northwest. Then First Anglo-Sikh War, 1845 to 46. The Sikh state of the Punjab had been built into a formidable power by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. But soon after his death, there were a series of palace disputes and assignations. By 1843, the youngest son of Ranjit Singh was placed on the throne, and his mother proclaimed Queen Regent. Actual power, however, rested with the army, which remained in the hands of military committees. Relations with the Sikhs and the British had already become strained when the former refused to allow British troops to pass through their territory during the First Anglo-Afghan War. The Sikhs had resolved to invade British territory in India under the pretext of averting a British attack and crossed the Sutlej in December 1845. In 4 decisive battles fought at Mukti, Firozpur, Aliwal, Sobron, the Sikhs forces were routed. The British annexed lands belonged to the Sikhs, along with the settlers and bees, and a British resident was also stationed at Lahore with a contingent of British troops. Thus, as a result of the First War between the Sikhs and the British, the Sikh state in northwestern India came under the British domination. Then, Second Anglo-Sikh War. The Second Anglo-Sikh War resulted in the subjugation of the Sikh kingdom and the expansion of the Punjab by the British. On 19th April 1848, once the Emperor, a civil servant, Lieutenant Anderson of the Mumbai European Regiment, who had been sent to take charge of Multan from its governor, Diwan Mulraj, were murdered there. Following this incident, Sikh troops and Sardas shortly joined together in an open rebellion. Lord Dalhousie and Sir Hugh Thorpe, the commander-in-chief, realized that the company's military forces were neither adequately equipped with transport and supplies nor prepared to launch a repeat attack. Decided if the rebellion spread, it would become necessary to capture Multan and subjugate the Punjab. Dalhousie therefore organized a strong army process towards Punjab. Despite the brilliant success gained by Herbert Edwards in the Second Anglo-Sikh War against Mulraj and the victories to Ramnagar, Sadulpur, and at the Battle of Chilianwala, the resistance put up by the Sikhs at Multan proved to be extremely challenging for the British. On 22 January, the fortress at Multan was taken over by General Veer, who soon joined up at Gujarat. The British won the Battle of Gujarat 1849 with the Sikh army surrendering at Rawalpindi and their Afghan enemies fleeing India. After the Gujarat victory, Lord Dalhousie annexed the Punjab for the company in 1849. While Dilip Singh, the Sikh Maharaja, was pensioned off and the Punjab put under a board of 3 commissioners. The board was later abolished and Sir John Lawrence appointed as the chief commissioner of the provinces. So in this lecture, very briefly highlighted the how the British expanded their territories with the confrontation with the native states of Mysore, Marathas, and Sikh. And later on, they captured the Maratha territories and ruled the India. So here are the some reference books you can refer for detailed studies.